Good morning, church. This is Pastor Brad Birtell. I'm the pastor at Mount Olive Lutheran Church, and this is our word for the week. If you've been with us for a while, you know that we are traveling through the book of Colossians with the Apostle Paul. Today we find ourselves in chapter 2, verse 16, reading all the way to the end of 23. So let's begin. Therefore, do not let anyone judge you by what you eat or drink, or with regard to a religious festival, a new moon celebration, or a Sabbath day. These are shadows of the things that were to come. The reality, however, is found in Christ. Do not let anyone who delights in false humility and the worship of angels disqualify you. Such persons also go into great detail about what they have seen. They are purified up with idle notions by their unspiritual mind. They have lost connection with the head, from whom the whole body is supported and held together by its ligaments and sinews, grows as God causes it to grow. Since you died with Christ to the elemental spiritual forces of this world, why, as though you still belong to the world, do you submit to its rules? Do not handle, do not taste, do not touch. These rules have to do with things that are all destined to perish, with use are based on merely human commands and teachings. Such regulations indeed have an appearance of wisdom with their self-imposed worship, their false humility, and their harsh treatment of the body, but they lack any value in restraining sensual indulgence. This is the word of the world. Rules, 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 more rules. That's what Paul is talking to the Colossians about today. That's what he's talking to us about today. You see, obviously, someone was telling the Colossian Christians that they needed to follow the rules in order to be saved. And listen to what Paul says. He says, do you still live like you belong to the world? Do you submit to its rules? Do not handle, do not taste, do not touch. These rules which have to do with these things that are destined to perish. You see, all these rules are going to fade away. They're not even going to matter. In fact, when it comes to eternal salvation, Paul has some very strong words about rules and what Christ has done to abolish those rules, to keep the law for us, and to take our place and to die our death. The first of those admonitions from the Apostle Paul comes to us from Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8, where he writes, for it is by grace, not rules, you have been saved through faith. And this is not from yourselves, not rules. It is the gift from God. And then he goes on to say in Colossians chapter 5, for freedom, Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened by rules, again by a yoke of slavery, by rules. You see, Paul was adamant that we are saved by grace through faith for Jesus' sake. And this is not something of ourselves. This is a gift of God. And we have been set free out of the freedom that Christ has granted us from the cross and the empty tomb to live our lives to his glory and to the benefit and blessing to others. Paul's not saying all rules are wrong. We as Christians know that we are to fear, love, and trust God above all things. We know that we are to love our neighbor as ourselves, but we obey those rules out of love for Christ. That is our response to his great love for us, who loved us while we were still sinners and came to us down from above to the cross, to the empty tomb, to love us, to take care of us, not because of some rule, but because of his unending love for each and every one of us as his dear children. So today, I just want to remind you that Christ has set you free to live and to love this day and always. This is our word of the week.